Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Cristiano, and welcome to Liberty Talk Radio. Folks, it's time for us to take back control of our government now before this bureaucratic, oversized, and self-serving federal government starves us of our property, our freedom, our rights, and our liberty. To do this, we must shed conventional thinking regarding our political structure. We need to be revolutionaries in thought, dissidents in action. Only after we recognize what our government is doing to our freedom and our Constitution will we start taking it back. And this program is just about that. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Joe Cristiano. I'm your host this morning on Liberty Talk Radio. Pleased to be here. I want to say special thanks to our sponsors. I want you to know that the sponsors on this program are places that I also frequent. I would not ask anyone to do something that I would not do myself. So please take in consideration our sponsors, because they are in fact supporting the true thought of liberty, and we need to get that down, and we need to coalesce ourselves into one large community, larger and larger and larger. I am very, very encouraged in that there are more and more people calling up, telling me that they are truly excited about this program. Now, I never thought in a million years that people would call and tell me that they are excited about a radio program. You think they say, well, they like it or they dislike it and they disagree with certain aspects of it. But when I get call after call from not only from Tulsa, but regionally, telling me that they are excited, they are pleased, they are finally, they've been set free from this left-right paradigm, this conservative, progressive paradigm, and we are talking straight through to the issues, and they encourage everybody. They tell me that they encourage their friends to listen in. Now, I know we're getting somewhere, because if we are to get somewhere, it's going to be one after one after one after one, and then there will be a time when we will coalesce. Understand, folks, one thing, that there is no way that an abusive government can persist. It is absolutely impossible for an abusive government to persist if, in fact, the people are one. We have 310 million people in this country. What if we all thought constitutionally, thought critically, spoke logically? All 310 million. How many people are in Washington pulling the strings? I mean, they can have the best army in the world. They can have the best crowd control in the world. They can have the rules and regulations. They can control Congress. They control the presidency. They can control the judicial branch. It means absolutely nothing if 310 million people start thinking for themselves. Turn the television off and say, I am being controlled by that television. Television is mind control. That's all it is, folks. Now, I must admit that I do watch television. I watch the drag races. I'm a muscle car guy from way back from the 50s and 60s, and I love watching those muscle cars go down the track. But to listen to the news, to listen to commentary, and even programs, even fun programs, are all interjected with the same type of thinking. And the problem is that when you are watching these mindless programs, they are stealing from you your most valuable asset. And that asset is equal among all of us, and that is our time. Now, the older you get, the more valuable that asset becomes. I am 69 and a half years old. I always say a half, by the way, because when I was a kid, and they say, Joey, how old are you? I say 4.5. I would never say 4.5, right? So now when people say, how old are you? I say 69 and a half. I'm 69. In April, I will be 70 years old. I cannot believe it, because I still have a mind of a 15-year-old. I said I'd never be 16. 16-year-olds really suck, you know? They think they know everything. They think they're grown-ups. 15, you don't have to do anything. You can be young. You can think the way you want, you know, and you can be a real rebel. And you know what? No one can blame you. Now that I'm approaching 70, I can be the same as 15, and no one can blame me because I'm an old man. They allow me to do it. But think for a second. The most valuable asset that you have, I don't care if you're rich, poor, starving to death, or you're the king of Siam. The only asset that is equal among all of us is our time. The government knows that. The bureaucracy knows that. But they won't tell you that. They'll say, tune in to the news. Let us indoctrinate you. Just stare. Listen, just stare at the screen. We shall inform you as to how to think. Stare at the screen. And we spend as much time watching the screen, being indoctrinated. Don't kid yourself. These programs are not innocent. You know, Judge Napolitano was on Fox Channel. He's gone. Because he spoke what I spoke, or I should say, I spoke what he spoke. I mean, he's the top dog. He's gone. Because he was telling people to think. Stop staring into this tube. It's mind control. It's taking control of you. And it's stealing the most valuable asset you have, and that's your time. There are many people who watch television as many hours as they work on their job. And then if you ask them to do something, to read something, maybe to go to a meeting, the first answer you get is, I'd love to, but I just don't have the time. That's how mind control works, folks. You know, I'm asked every single week, if they say, oh, are you a liberal? And then another person will say, well, are you a conservative? And I always ask the question back again. I say, well, I'd love to answer your question. I'm not being a wise guy. I'd love to answer your question. But could you define what you mean by liberal? Could you define what you mean by conservative? What answer do you think I get? None. They stare at me. They go, well, you know what I mean? They're liberal. Well, that's what I mean. I heard that. The liberal part I heard. What do you mean by that? And they can't, because they can't think. What they're doing is they're falling into that paradigm of left, right. Folks, the only way that the government can keep the population under control, there's only one way, folks, and it's very simple. This is not new. I didn't invent this. I didn't think it up. You know, this is not a new paradigm. This has been going on for 4,000 years. But God forbid we study history. We don't want to do that. We want to memorize history that they give to us to memorize. And that is to divide. To divide and conquer. Well, you can go back in history. You can go back 2,000, 3,000 years, and you will find those words, divide and conquer. You can go back to the Macedonian Empire, and you will hear those words. Now, why is it it's taking 4,000 years, and we haven't learned that lesson yet? Do we need another 4,000 years? What is wrong with us? Now you say, well, we're not divided. We're a nation of people. No, we are a divided nation. Half Democrats, half Republicans, approximately. And provided they convince us that one of the two is better than the other or correct, or one is right and one is wrong, divide and conquer. Because we will never give a thought to who is causing our problems. And if you think through the process, if you're a Republican, or a hardcore Republican, I don't mean just that you're sort of a Republican, where do all our problems come from? Where do they emanate from? The Democrats. It's obvious. What's wrong with you? How dare you even ask such a silly question? However, if you're a Democrat or a progressive, you know, why do we have the problems that we have today? What a stupid question that is. It's the Republicans. It's the conservatives. That's who's causing our problems. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. Now I have a problem. I do have right, and I probably get thrown off the air. You know, quite frankly, I'm surprised they keep me on the air. I'll be very honest with you. Some weeks I said I'm going to leave the studio and I'm going to be picked up. You can never hear from me again. Just like Judge Napolitano. I mean, now he's not in jail, but you don't hear from him anymore. You see, mind control is time control. If they control your time, they control your mind. Just as if you're at work doing something and you have to focus and concentrate on what you are doing at work. That's absorbing your time. You're not thinking about anything else. You're doing your job, and that's what you're supposed to do. What the government wants is any time that you are not thinking productively, anytime you are not thinking productively, they want you to stare at the tube. Oh, by the way, get a 66-inch now. You can get it for $900 in high definition and 3D. Soon you get touchy-feely, everything. But watch that damn TV. They want you to be a drone. We are becoming drones as a nation. At once we used to be thought of as individualists, you know, rugged individualists. You remember that saying, those crazy Americans? Now guess what it is? It's those sucky Americans, those lazy, fat, sucky Americans that can't think for themselves. The Europeans are ahead of us now in thinking, way ahead of us. And I'll give you an example. There's a friend, my son is a musician. One of my three boys is a musician, professional musician. And he has a friend who travels. He's been to Europe. He's been to Benelux countries, you know, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And he made a tour through there. And when he came back, his name is Jay. I said, Jay, how did you like it? He says, I thought it was really interesting, very refreshing. He said, after we would play a few songs and we have a break and we'd sit, you know, have a cup of coffee, you know, at the place we were at or whatever. He said, the young people that were listening would sit down and discuss subjects. They would actually talk about social subjects, political subjects. I mean, subject of substance. He says, I was not accustomed to that. He said, whenever we take a break in the States, we sit down, we get, silly, goofy stuff. Silly, goofy stuff. You know, do you watch this program? And if you bring up any subject of substance, you turn everybody off. Like, I don't want to talk about that. You know, that's not fun. We're having fun tonight. Yeah, as if last night you were talking about this, you idiot. This is the problem, folks. You know, the problem is not the government. We have identified the problem, and it is us. And I include me in it. Now, there's a saying, and I don't want to take up your time and my time. Give me stuff because I can read this stuff all day long. You know, in the Gospel of St. John's, and I'm not taking religious sides, I'm just reading this. This is where it comes from. St. John's 8:32. It says, "The truth shall set you free." Unfortunately, that's incomplete. I'm not disagreeing with it. It is incomplete. Here's the complete statement. The truth shall set you free, but first it's going to piss you off. And that's by Gloria Steinem, of all things. Sure, it's going to piss you off. Every time I bring something up like this, people get hacked off. They say, how could you say that? I said, I said it. Give me a response. And they can't. Are you a conservative? What's your definition of conservative? Then we can talk about it. A conservative, you know what I mean? Conservative. I don't know what you mean. I said, hey, let me tell you something. I got money. I don't need money, right? I ride around in a 1996 Subaru with 268,500 miles on it. I'm not kidding you. I told my wife at 500,000 miles, I'm buying a new car. I don't care what she says. Does that make me a conservative? And they look at me like I'm nuts. Well, first of all, I am nuts. I wouldn't have this radio program screaming into a microphone at 6 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. But I'm a passionate nut. And I feel passionate about the way we should be thinking. I feel passionate about the fact that mind control is time control. Sure, I say, well, can I watch my favorite football game? Of course you can watch. I'm not going to give you permission. I mean, be logical about it. But don't come home, sit down and say, oh, boy, I had a tough day at work. And then sit down and from 6 o'clock to 10 or 11 o'clock, all you do is watch television. And then, of course, the weekends, we got double time on television. Plus, embedded in every one of those programs is mind control. And then you are unable to think. You are stunted. If we grew based on what we saw on TV, we would all be infants, every one of them, every one of us. Our thinking is absolutely infantile. Now, why don't I discuss, and I get this question all the time, why don't you discuss the issues? I want to know about the issue. Because it's immaterial. We should not have an issue. When I get up in the morning, you know what? The first thing on my mind is not northern Pakistan. It's not southern Afghanistan. It's not Iraq. It's not Yemen. It's not, you know what it is? Where to put my glasses? Where are my shoes? I got to wash. I got to shower before I go out. I wonder if we have milk in the refrigerator. Did I buy bananas last night? But I mean, it's my things for me and my family. I don't give a lick of thought about anybody else or anything else. And don't kid yourself, everyone else should do the same. It's not selfish. It's only the right thing to do. I have a family. I think about my family. And I think about my friends. I think about my community. Now, quite frankly, Syria just doesn't seem to be right in my community. It's just slightly outside the border. Let me say, well, what do you think about our environment in Israel and the occupied territory? We have no idea what we're talking about. Who cares? Now, provided that the country divides us and we fight each other, they'll take our money and they'll use it any way that they want. I wish, please call 855-866-1170. I want to hear your opinion on what I'm saying. 855-866-1170. Let me, and also your comments to comments at libertytalkradio.com. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Yeah, folks, and please visit our website at libertytalkradio.com. That's libertytalkradio.com. You can't miss it. It'll come right up, give you all the information. And we are also videotaping most of the sessions that we have here, and you can, in fact, you can see my lovely face and my actions. You'll love it. I mean, if you want a comedy skit, go to libertytalkradio.com. Today, I am wearing my UN-US shirt. Now, when I wear that, people say, hey, the UN ain't the US. Yeah, yes, US ain't going to be the UN. We want the UN out of here. No, it's not UN. It's on us. What that is saying, on us, that the government is not for us. It's on us. And the U.S. means it's on us, not for us. Do we understand that? And I think we all agree to that. I want to read you something I very rarely do, but this is my fact. I've just been hanging on my computer in my home studio for years. It said, Abraham Lincoln said, you cannot bring about prosperity by discouraging thrift. Now, what is our government doing? The exact opposite. They are discouraging thrift because you're only giving 0.6%, interest on your money, but inflation is like 3.5%. So it's negative saving. Number one, you cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. What is our government doing? It's taking from the rich and giving to the poor, supposedly the poor. With the government taking over 50% of that take up front, by the way. Understand, 50%, 51% has been determined, comes off up front just from government bureaucracy. Government wins on that one. All right. So number two, right? You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. Well, what do you think we're doing now, right? Anytime you accomplish something, the government wants their shake, they want their share, and what do they do with the money? Give it back to you, do something constructive? No, they give it to their friends, right? They build ethanol plants. They give to people who are not working. Really neat. And I'm not disparaging those people who have a difficult time. If they're having a difficult time, I will contribute to it. I contribute to several charities every single month, every single week. This is what we should be doing as citizens, not as the government. Let's go on. You cannot help the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer. Hey, I'm a business owner. Guess what? I want to close up. I can't stand the regulations and the taxes anymore. Guess who they're discouraging? Guess. You cannot further the brotherhood by encouraging class hatred. Ha ha ha. Oh, no need to say anything about that. You cannot help the poor by destroying the rich. Ha ha ha. You know that one. You cannot keep out of trouble by spending more than you earn. Now, nothing needs to be said. You know, we have a debt right now. 2 months ago, it was $211 trillion, including unfunded debt. I tell you, if you sold the planet Earth, you couldn't get $211 trillion for it. You cannot keep out of, you cannot keep out of trouble by spending more than you earn. You cannot build character by and courage by taking one man's initiative and independence. And oh boy, is that a big one. And no one can disagree. I don't care if you're progressive. I don't care what you are. You can be a flaming liberal. You'd have to agree with each one of these. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves. Abraham Lincoln said that. Folks, if you look at each one of those tenets, the federal government violates every single one to a T. Now, then what we do, folks, listen carefully, what we do is we rush to the polls to vote for someone that will violate every one of those tenets. Now tell me, what do you vote? I had a woman call me, and she said, she agrees with me, but I hate when people say, I agree, but. I say, I disagree with you. And she disagrees because she really feels that we should vote because we have to get the current administration out because she thinks they haven't done any good. Well, that would be fine. But we're not given an option. We're not given an option, as they say, if you watch television, to vote for the candidate of your choice. Now, let me give you an example. Oh, by the way, let me hear from you. 855-866-1170. 855-866-1170. I know you're out there. Don't let me come out there and dial a phone for you, okay? 855-866-1170. I want to hear from you. This should be a two-way conversation. I just don't want to be the talker here, all right? Your comments on paper to comments at libertytalkradio.com. Now, let me give you an idea of how we don't divide and conquer, all right? How we can spoil all this, but it will never happen because the people who in power will never allow this. If 100% of the people voted for this, it would never happen. Understand that, so you know where you stand. 100% of people went out and voted for what I'm suggesting. Right now, it would never, ever, ever happen. That should tell you where you live. You do not live in a free country. You live in a monarchy where someone sits around and they just make up laws and they subjugate all of your freedom. Understand that. Now, here's my thought. On every ballot, there should be, by the way, anyone who wants to run should be on the ballot, okay? You're on the ballot in a particular state. But let's say you have just Republican and Democrat. You have those two, but you have one more, and that's none of the above. What do you think would happen to the number of people voting? What would happen to the number of people voting? Those numbers. If you had Republican, Democrat, and I don't care who the heck's running, and then the third person was none of the above. I think only about 60% of the people vote now. What do you think about the other 40%? They would come out in droves because now it's no longer divide and conquer. Now we coalesce. We go, ha. Now we can vote against the system. So people come out, and let's assume the 40% come out and they vote for none of the above, right? A portion of the Republicans vote for none of the above. A portion of the Democrats vote none of the above. And the winner gets 22% of the popular vote. Problem, isn't it? Now, none of the above wins. We're going to take a break. Stay with us and come right back. Mark, you're on the air. What do you have to say today?
I was listening to you about having none of the above on the ballot.
What do you think of that?
Only one problem with it.
What's that?
It would take about 30 seconds for one of them to change their name to none of the above, so declare themselves the winner.
Mark, are you a stand-up comic?
No, but I have a macabre sense of humor.
Okay, I love it. That you're absolutely correct. Well, thanks a lot for calling in Liberty Talk Radio, and you make a good point. I think I'll change my name. Hey, Mark, for calling in this ungodly hour in the morning, send me an email with your mailing address and T-shirt sign. I'll send you a Liberty Talk Radio T-shirt. Fair enough?
All right.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, we got another ringy dingy, but we don't know who's on the phone. But folks, the big thing today are zombies. You know that zombies. And you know why? Because we identify with zombies. You know why? Because we are zombies. That's why we walk around like zombies. Yes, this is. I have to vote. It's my obligation to vote. I must vote for the system. I took the blue pill, and I must do that. We're zombies. Let's be honest. When we just think, every time you open your mouth and you say something that compliments what is going on, think, am I a zombie? Why don't we walk around like zombies? At least we'll exemplify the way we think. Let's think and walk the same way. We think like zombies. We're crippled. That's our mind. It's like mush. We don't have brains. If we had lobotomies, we'd open them and go, oh my God, oatmeal. My goodness gracious. I don't know. A friend of mine was from Kokomo, Indiana, was visiting friends in Staten Island, New York, and he was going over the Verrazano Bridge. And by the way, both ways, it cost $13 to and fro, by the way, to get over and back again on the Verrazano Bridge. $13. By the way, it used to be a quarter when I was there. Anyway, he asked the toll attendant, he said, by the way, what river are we going over? And the first one said, the Atlantic. He said, oh, thank you very much. He went on. He went, oh, my God. So coming back, he asked again. He asked the toll attendant. He wasn't, he just was curious. He didn't know. He said, what river is this going over? The guy says, I think the Pacific. He said, oh, thank you very much. Well, he had a chance to go over a third time. I'm not making this up. This guy's name is Skeets. I never make that. I'm not making it up. He says, he called me to tell me this. He said, I went over the third time. At least the third person was honest. He said, what river are we going over? He says, I have no idea. Now, folks, a person is manning a toll over a river. And who knows how long this person has had that job. And you have never asked, what's a body of water underneath me? What is it called? Is it the Hudson River? What river is it? Never didn't ask, didn't care. We're zombies. Our minds are mush. It's over, folks. Unless we start really understanding. And believe me, the truth shall let you free, but it's going to piss you off first. We got to get really angry with ourselves. You think I'm happy with the way I think half the times? Don't bet on it. You see what I mean, folks? We really have to get to know ourselves. It's called autonomy. We don't have a sense of autonomy anymore. A sense of self, a sense of understanding, a sense of discipline. We don't have that anymore. We don't have to. Because you know why we don't have to? Because there's an app on your iPhone that does it for you. I was watching my grandchild, 8 years old, with the thing, and the stupid thing. And I said, the big difference today from yesteryear, what people did things, actually did things. They made things. They involved. When kids played, they were acting out real life. They actually played. They involved. They ran around. They fell. They scraped their knees. They did things. They did things, physically did things, or they made things, or they did things. Today, they don't. There's an app for it. You don't play hide and seek. You don't do that anymore. I lived in the Bronx once, for a period of time. Wonderful place, by the way. In the Bronx. And, we used to, I'm not kidding you, we used to play a game sort of hide and seek. And guess what the boundaries were? The Bronx. And we used to spend days looking for each other. We would travel all over the place. I mean, it was the most phenomenal. I don't know how we ever did it. We would take and anything was open. You could take the bus, train, anywhere you wanted to go, but you had to find the other person. It sounds crazy. We used to spend days doing that. It was phenomenal. We did crazy things like that. We used to play ball in the park. We didn't have a baseball app that I downloaded on my iPhone. We actually played it. And Johnny one time threw the ball, hit me in the head. Hurt like hell, still does. In fact, one time a guy got pissed off at me. You know what he did? He swung the bat at me, hit me in the head. That's real life. We don't do that anymore because we have an app on our iPhone we can download. And we're becoming absolute zombies, and we think we know it. What I just dislike so much, is when someone says, "Oh, my Johnny's so smart. He knows how to do all those things on the iPhone." Johnny's an idiot. He's becoming a drone. He's like Star Wars, one of those little drones. Anyway, we're not doing it because we're not thinking, and we don't think, we accept. And soon there's going to be a political app. You want to know how to think politically? There's an app for it. Don't think. Please don't think. There's an app. There's an app for everything. In fact, on the Apple, a couple of years ago, there were over 1 million apps that you can download. 1 million! And I know some people who've tried every one of them. What a life. I don't understand. Let's hear from you. 855-866-1170. I want to hear from you. 855-866-1170. Don't let me come out there and dial the phone for you. Okay? Dial the phone. Listen to that. Shows you my age. 855-866-1170. Your comments to comments at libertytalkradio.com, and visit our website, libertytalkradio.com. I have a new way of fighting crime, folks. New way. And it's not unique, by the way. In fact, I'm stealing. This is an idea that the government has had for a long time, but we haven't initiated here in the United States. This is what we do. Let's assume we suspect that there is a criminal living in apartment 4F, right? On a certain street, 34th Street, right? You go, ha-ha, he's there. We don't send troops in there. We don't send the cops in there. We send a drone in, right? And we bomb that building, right? We take him out, bomb the whole building and the adjacent building. And sometimes the bomb is not that accurate, so you take a few other buildings with it, right? And you get rid of them. Now, that's fighting crime. What do you think of that? I want to hear from you. What do you think of that idea? I think it's great. You don't have the policeman in the street. You don't have to get any cops killed. You just hone in and bingo, bong. Bing, you kill everybody in it. Everyone in the area. What do you think of that? I don't hear anybody. You can say, oh, that's ridiculous. It's insane. You're killing all those innocent men, women, and children have nothing. How could you do such a thing? You are the meanest person, soulless, gutless, everything. How dare you say that? Now, you know where I'm going, don't you? You know damn well where I'm going. We do that every day. But it's not 34th Street. It's some other street in another country. But see, we do it for freedom. We do it for them. They're better off that innocent men, women, and children die. And many of them die every single day. I saw such a video that they snuck out of northern Pakistan. And you can tell this is not made up because you've got to see these people. I mean, you don't make this stuff up. And he spoke in his native language and as a translator. And he said, before we were attacked, he said, we were attacked, right? He didn't say it was a drone. He didn't say it was a criminal. He says, we were attacked. He said, I did not even know what the United States was. Think of it. I mean, he didn't even know it was a state. He didn't know what it was. The United States was a word. And here we are, a drone going over, killing several people in his neighborhood. And you see the block. It was all busted up. Because we suspected that there was an Al-Qaeda operative there. And little does the government tell you that the Al-Qaeda operative that we are killing here, we are financing there. Depending on what we get out of it. Now, what bothers me is that what I am saying, I'm really talking contrary to most talk show hosts, and even talk show hosts on this station, 1170 KFAQ, which I think is a great station. But they condone this. They actually condone. Don't think. I don't care which one it is. Can be the biggest guy in the world, most popular guy. Don't think. I'm not asking you to repeat what I say or think the way I think. I'm asking you to think, period. Think critically. Speak logically. But most talk show hosts won't ask you to do that. They'll say, oh, yes, the United States is this, and conservatives say this, and the progressives say that. But then they go off and they go, and we got to bomb these people because make no sense. I disagree with 90% of them. There's a few that I really think have it all together. So if you're even listening to talk show, you may have a problem, depending on who you elect to listen to. It's a real problem. Because we get this all day. We're driving in our cars. We get it all over again. We're told how, the Islamic religion is just there to eradicate Christianity. And that's it. It ends there. Thus, anything we do, drones, bombs, napalm, whatever it is all part of the game. And it's good for America. It's good for our freedom. And I know the argument, yeah, but if you read the Quran, I have people write, one guy wrote in and says, you jerk, and he called me other names also, read the Quran. Like this jerk read the Quran, and he understands the Islamic religion. And that's the only, in fact, I even called this guy back, and I said, someone called in Liberty Talk Radio, told me suggested that I read the Quran, and he would, it was the same guy, same voice. He says, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, someone called in, and I mentioned it 3 times, and he denied it. And then the 4th time he went, well, you know what I think, and he went on and on and on. It was the same guy. Didn't have the guts to say, yes, that was me, and here's the reason why. And then when I asked him, did you read the Quran? No, he didn't read the Quran. Of course, someone gave him a sentence and said, see what this Quran says? See, that's why we have to kill them all. That's really thinking. That's really thinking critically. We should all think that way. We should all kill each other. How about that? Because there's one sentence says this. 855-866-1170. Let me hear from you, please. Where are we? I'm lost. Where are we? I don't even know where we are anymore. I'm totally lost. Could someone help me? We talk about this the currency crisis. And most people don't understand it. What people must understand is that the government has stolen our money from us. All of it. Everything that you ever have has already been stolen from you. Let me give you an example. Let's go back 100 years. Just mere 100, 75 years, whatever it is. When your coinage constituted a large amount of silver, 95% silver, I think it was. A quarter was 95% silver, or 90%, right? Yeah, 90% silver. Your dime was 90% silver. Your half dollar was 90% silver. Your dollar was 90% silver. Now your nickel was nickel and copper, and your penny was all copper, 98%, 95% copper. So each coin was worth something. It had value. I mean, when you worked and someone gave you a silver dollar, you received a dollar's worth of silver. You received something in kind. Now, paper money was a receipt for the silver or the gold. In fact, if you read it, it says, the bearer of this instrument, something along those lines, is entitled upon presentation at the treasury, $20 worth of silver or $10 worth of silver, upon presentation. That's what it said. So it was a receipt. It was like having a receipt for your clothing in a dry cleaner. You in the dry cleaner, they gave you a receipt. That clothing was still yours. You have a receipt for it. This is the same thing. You had a receipt for gold. In other words, so when you worked and someone gave you $5, you had $5 worth of gold. Now, let's stop right there. Let's say this is the mindset. Try to get that mindset for a second. Now, the next day, the government says, I'm not going to pay you in coins. I'm going to give you a rock. Just a rock. We're going to find rocks and we're going to give you a rock. What would you say? Think about it. What would you say? You go, wait a minute. Wait. Yesterday you were giving me silver or gold, and now you're giving me a rock? Any rock on the floor? They go, yeah. That's it. And we'll call it a federal rock. And here it is. You got your rock. We just paid you. Get lost. You go, wait, I don't think so. Now you'd say, Joe, that's stupid. They would never do that. They did even worse than that. They said, we not only won't give you a rock, forget the rock. The rock may have some purpose. At least you can use it as a doorstop. We're going to give you a piece of paper that says it is exchangeable for nothing. Just a piece of paper saying that here's $20 because we say it's $20 exchangeable for nothing. Take it, get lost. Gold, silver, forget it. Never going to happen. And you know what we did? We said, okay, because it was a Federal Reserve. The government stole everything from us. Do you realize, folks, I mean, this is scary. Do you realize that 93% of the money in circulation is in digital form? Only 7% is in paper. You know, you say, well, I have $3,000 in the bank. You don't have squat in the bank. You have a $3,000 entry, a digitized entry. And if the government come out tomorrow and said, well, folks, we have to devaluate the dollar, accelerate the devaluation. It's been devaluated from about 96 or 97% since 1913, the start of the Federal Reserve. But if they say we have to accelerate it so we can pay our debts, that $3,000 is now worth $1,000. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to touch anything. They press a button and it's gone. I'd rather have the rock. Give me the rock. 'Cause at least I can throw it at you, you son of a gun. What do? Take the paper, crumble it up, the dollar, and throw it at you? Never reach. But that's what they have done. Now there's only one coin left that's worth the same today that it was worth in 1866. You will not believe this. And please, go anywhere and check it out. Go to the government and check it out. In 1866, the Liberty nickel, the Shield nickel was introduced and minted. 5 grams in weight, 75% copper, 25% nickel. It is the only coin, I believe, in the world, I did research on this, only coin in the world that constitutes the same composite of that it did in 1866. In other words, if you have a nickel in your pocket, it's really worth over 10 cents. Think about that. What if you took all of your money, the $3,000 that you had in the bank, this digitized $3,000, and you just converted it all to nickels? Yeah, put it in your garage, put it in storage anyplace. And the government says, hey, you know what we're going to do is we're going to devaluate the currency. What would happen to those nickels? Let's say that they devalue 4 to 1, which is very, very one of the more common devaluations. They had that in Argentina in 2002. Of course, then you'd lose 75% of the value, right? But if you had nickels, it would go up 4 times in value. You see what I mean? Folks, they have stolen our money. They have stolen our thought process. They have stolen our will. It is time for us to coalesce and fight back. This is Joe Cristiano. Thank you so much, and let me hear from you. Comments at libertytalkradio.com. Thank you for listening to Liberty Talk Radio.